Here's verse 15 of the third chapter of the Gospel of John. Jesus, of course, in the midst of a conversation with Nicodemus, he has challenged Nicodemus at the point of believing things that are inherently heavenly, questioning whether if Nicodemus can't understand or accept earthly things, how is he going to comprehend heavenly things? But then Jesus plows right into these heavenly things in verse 14, reminding Nicodemus of that occasion when Moses lifted up the cunning one, the serpent, the accuser, in the wilderness, and then identifying himself with that serpent, because, of course, the New Testament makes the point, the rather poignant idea that Jesus himself will become a curse, will become one who is sin itself, exposing himself to the wrath of God. It's necessary that Jesus be lifted up, the Son of Man be exposed in that way, but of course the reason for it is redemptive. Just as the serpent, in a sense, being lifted up was exposed, and looking at that serpent would lead to healing on the part of those who trusted in faith in that particular evident source of a therapy, in the case of Moses, so in the same way we're going to have something like that here, so that Jesus continues henna, in order that takes the subjunctive, so there's the subjunctive answer to the henna, in order that pas, every, ho, pistuon, this is a participle, so literally every the believing in him one, everyone who believes in him. And interestingly here, it's not the normal way in which believing in is expressed in the Greek. Usually it's pistuo eis, into, but here it's believing in him. And in a sense, it's almost a less dramatic sort of preposition that's in view, and yet it's saying that even that, as it were, scant level of faith is still going to be sufficient to bring about zoein aionion, eternal life. Everyone who believes in him, here's the subjunctive, third person singular, so it's everyone who believes in him in order to have or will have life eternal. So the serpent was lifted up. Those who looked in faith at the serpent exposed there on the pole were given healing. And Jesus will be lifted up, exposed as it were, as if he were the serpent. But of course in this case the very point is to destroy the power of sin, destroy the power of that serpent, so that just as those who looked at the serpent in faith were given healing, so those who look at this that is raised up in the New Testament, the Son of Man being lifted up, are going to also be the recipients of eternal life.